Good afternoon, everybody. This is David Crowther, and this is CFS Collective. Today, I have Brad Smith. Brad, say hi to our audience today.
Hi, everybody.
So Brad comes to us with a wealth of experience, but rather than me tell you about Brad's wealth of experience, Brad, I would like you to tell our audience about Brad Smith and your work experience.
Named Brad Smith, come from a little town, northwest Ohio, born and raised up there. Got into the HVAC business, roughly about 25 years ago. I joined the sheet metal union up in Toledo, Ohio area.
Wow.
For 15 years or so. I spent some time learning small scale projects, and then everything about the HVAC world. I took in all the mathematics involved, all the calculations that you need, the configurations, the sizing, and I grew that in the trade. Kind of advanced into running smaller projects to larger projects to huge projects in those 15 years. And I started in a small setting and kind of grew my knowledge there with a vast amount of people.
So in the Ohio market, were you guys union?
Yes, in that market, it was very union.
So, it's interesting because I was, I had grown up in a roofing family business, roofing, but also had a sheet metal shop. So when the roofers went on strike, I had to go over and work with the sheet metal guy. So I had to get my, it was a helper's card is what they call it. So I did work sheet metal for a couple of years with some union guys for a family business. So I didn't know that about you. That's pretty cool, actually. Do you remember what local it was?
Local 33.
Oh, wow. That's fantastic. Yeah. So what you come with a lot. You got hands-on experience.
Hands-on experience from day one.
That makes our jobs easier, doesn't it, when you got hands-on experience?
I think hands-on experience is key to success.
Okay, so 24 years, you started on the family business, you worked yourself up through the ranks. There's got to be a job out there, even if it's not here in Florida, and it might be, that you remember that you could say was yours or that you took ownership on. What's the name of the job and what did you do?
One of the ones that stick in my head was the Toledo Jeep facility. We had been hired to exhaust all of the large paint booths and all of the baking systems that they have in that. It was my first helicopter lift. We had fabricated the custom stainless steel towers that were 135 feet tall. Real thick inch and a quarter stainless steel plate that tapered up to 3/8 in that 135 feet. And that project lasted a year and a half. I had a crew of about, I think there was roughly 120 sheet metal workers on it. That one, we had so many fails and so many successes. It'll go down in my history book of that was a project of all projects.
Yeah, I could imagine. That sounded like you probably needed a bunch of experienced guys to do that.
And I did have them. I had them from very young and new to 30 years in the trade, and plus all the other trades that were there. We really worked together well on that, and that was key to success on that one.
Now, how long ago was that?
That was nearly 19 years ago.
Wow, that's pretty good. May I inquire what were union wages 20 years ago?
I would say a little over half of what they are now. I want to say those wages were somewhere, a journeyman sheet metal worker in that time was making around $23 an hour.
Wow, that's fantastic. And then plus your benefits.
Plus the benefits and all that, yeah.
Yeah, well, that's pretty cool.
It was a good package.
Okay, so 24 years ago, you're in your business or in your family business. You move on, you built some spectacular projects. You've got all this experience. And yet, here you are over at CFS Mechanical and Roofing Services.
Yes.
So kind of unique, isn't it?
Yeah, it sounded like a great opportunity with a company that's growing and developing a new system. And
yeah. It was interesting when we actually talked about doing this, setting this thing up. I've been up on the roof most of my life and working alongside of air conditioning guys my whole life. So I got to know a little bit about the business, certainly not to your extent. However, I knew they'd kind of married together. And it's interesting because a lot of the projects we do have air conditioning work associated with them. So I thought, wow, what a brilliant idea. The place where I got, though, is I needed people much smarter than me to come out and do that. And hence the reason why I'm talking to you today and you're not talking to me. But thank you for joining the CFS team.
Oh, you're welcome, David. It's been a great experience thus far, and I think you're right. Collaborating the two, the roofing side is definitely tied into the mechanical side.
So I know we still have a few growing pains, right? We've got some people. We're growing. We got people coming in. We got projects coming in. You have got a wealth of experience coming in. I also know you're hitting some jobs because I know that from behind the scenes. So thank you for that. But I'd like you just to share with the audience, what do you actually do day to day here at CFS?
Well, there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes that a lot of people don't know about. The day to day is we arrive pretty early here, especially at CFS. Some of us like to get here pretty early.
What is early?
Early to me, it's around 6 o'clock,
Okay.
6:30. Some guys get here even sooner, earlier than that. But we usually start with collaborating as a team on the emails that have come through from the night or the day prior. We kind of look and see what do we have to really address today as far as upcoming projects. We have all the bid sites we look at, and then our team collaborates in a really positive way on how we disperse and who's responsible for what. We go through that. That's the first part of the day. Then we go into then the next step is basically looking at the jobs we have at hand. What are we working on today? My job personally, I do a lot with blueprints, a lot of plan and spec work. So I'm digging into blueprints pretty early in the morning, usually setting up the day before on what I'm going to be sending out that day. So yesterday's work becomes today's bids that I'll be sending to whomever. And that list keeps growing and growing and growing, and the amount of bids keep growing and growing.
Yes, it does.
And it's great to see. It's great to see that we're really making some traction, and we feel it here as a company and our division. We feel the growth. We feel the strength that's building. It's a great feeling.
Yeah, as I look over the company overall, what I find really interesting is, because I started in just the roofing portion of it, and we're growing every year. We grow a little bit every year, but the biggest growth potential in my eyes at CFS is the mechanical division. What you guys are doing, I think that's almost endless, or as much as you guys can take or want to take. And control, because control is obviously everything in our business, because when you take on too much work, you lose control and you don't make a good name for yourself. But I think the possibilities are endless over there. And I'm glad you're on the team. But in your eyes, you came from pretty much the air conditioning mechanical business. Now, all of a sudden, you kind of teamed up with a company that does both. I want you to comment on that, because that is unique, but yet there is a marriage there. Some of the jobs you do, I know, are just air conditioning jobs. And we do that. We do replacements, we do repairs, we do maintenance, we do new construction, we do a lot of that. But from your position, marrying up with a company, if you would, that does both, how do you see that?
For me, it's pretty exciting. I get to look at it completely different now. Now I see that there's a massive amount of roofs down here that are constantly in some type of disrepair, and they need work. So I know it's a really busy industry. That excites me. But what gets me really thinking about the possibilities is the amount of equipment on these roofs, and what the roofing company already kind of knows about it, and what they see about it, and what they already can acknowledge. So they'll send an email. Hey, look at this roof. There's 14 units, and what are the codes saying nowadays? We're checking everything for height clearances and making sure everything's up to code or up on racks and rails. That's neat, because I can see the language developing as the days progress. And the roofing company, they really have a good, strong footprint down here. The guys know what they're talking about. So to me, it's just constantly learning more and more and more. Getting the opportunity to, understanding that side of it and marrying it with the mechanical side. It's, from what I see, it's mainly, it's kind of an unstoppable industry.
Yeah.
It's something that you just can, like you said prior, you can just grow as much as we can. It's unique. I don't hear of a lot of companies doing it. I mean, I know some companies.
Some companies have done it and are doing it.
And I see that, it's successful in all ways, shapes, and form. The possibilities are endless here. And what I see is a really strong future and a really great opportunity for anyone that's a part of it.
So right now, most of your time here at CFS is estimating and developing business. Is that correct? Mm-hmm. And so, in your opinion, I know you said it earlier, but in your opinion, how far can this department develop here? I mean, how many people do you see here in a year?
The way that the Southwest Florida market is growing, and what it's done from when I've done my research in the last 10 years, it seems to double almost every 2 to 3 years. I see that there's no end in sight. I believe that in 3 to 5 years we could see triple the amount of employees we have in the mechanical division.
Wow!
On a daily basis, working 40 hours a week plus.
Yeah, And as technically the leader of this company, I really see it too. And I'm going to back you guys. I know I don't work in your office, but I see it. I feel it. I get requests for it all the time. I got a guy that called me up yesterday on the telephone. He's got a flat roof right here in town. He's an old friend of mine. He says, hey, I got to get this roofing work done, but I got some air conditioners. Who should I call on that? And I says, you don't have to call anybody. You already called. And it's such a, it's such a great way to service your clients. It just is. Say, don't you worry about it. I got the whole thing. I'll take care of it. Take it. And it's really, it kind of makes you feel warm inside. Like, the guy called me to solve his problem. His roof's leaking. He needs to replace it. And he knows he's got air conditioners up there, right? And my guess is they're probably old. I don't know, but I haven't seen it yet. And it's just kind of a nice feeling. So I hope you get to that point if you're not already, because you're going to go out and look at air conditioners, and the guy's going to tell you the roof's leaking. And it's just like, don't worry about it. We can take care of it. Again, I think that's kind of the cool combination, if you would, of what we've got here. And so I'm glad you're on board here. I'm glad that the team's working through the growing pains over there, which we have some. We got 3 locations, right? As you know, there'll be a push up in Sarasota in 25, so I can see in 25, 26, we're going to have to be up there. So start thinking about that. All right. Anyway, that's all I got really for today. So is there anything else you want to add to our audience?
CFS has been a great company to work for, and I'm already on the roof looking for pinholes when I'm looking at my units. So I have a little red marker. I get out and I circle the little holes where I can see that leak's not coming from the ductwork right now. So it is it's a fun journey, and I'm glad to be part of it.
Well, Bradford, thanks for joining us today. I appreciate it. Thanks for joining our podcast. So with that said, again, this is David Crowther, CFS Collective. Thank you.